Pretty fast time. Okay, never mind. We're
Huh?
good.
You gotta
Never mind.
check your time.
I think we're good. I think we're good. Sorry.
Okay. So we're reading from
Okay.
huh? Here we go. So now let me just go back to this page here. Where'd it go? Okay. Okay, let me share that again. So share. Stop. Okay. So Tahan there.
There.
Siddhi,
Siddhi.
success.
Success.
Kare,
Kore.
makes.
Makes.
Ena,
Ena.
touch.
Such.
Anye,
Anye.
another person.
Uh, another
Na,
person. Na.
not.
Not.
Dikiye,
Ekiye.
Amara,
Amara.
mine.
Right.
Dushkara,
Duskara.
difficult to perform.
Difficult to perform.
Karma,
Karma.
work.
Work.
Koma,
Toma.
you.
You.
Haite,
Hoite.
from.
From.
Haye,
Hoye.
become successful.
Become successful.
Translation and report by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
Translation. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, you can perform a task that even I cannot do, but for you, I cannot find anyone in Gauda Desh who can fulfill my mission there. Purport. Lord Chaitanya's mission is to deliver the fallen souls of this age. In this age of Kali, practically 10% of the population is fallen. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu certainly delivered many fallen souls, but his disciples mainly came from the upper classes. For example, he delivered Sri Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and many others who were socially elevated but fallen from the spiritual point of view. Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami were situated in governmental service, and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was the topmost scholar of India. Similarly, Prakashananda Saraswati was a leader of many thousands of Mayavadi sannyasis. It was Nityananda Prabhu, however, who delivered persons like Jagai and Madhai. Therefore, Chaitanya says, Amara Dushkara Karma Toma Haite Haya. Jagai and Madhai were delivered solely by Nityananda Prabhu's mercy. When they injured Nityananda Prabhu, Lord Chaitanya became angry and decided to kill them with his Sudarshan Chakra. But Nityananda Prabhu saved them from Lord's wrath and delivered them. In the incarnation of Gaura Nitai, the Lord is not supposed to kill demons, but is supposed to deliver them by preaching Krishna consciousness. In the case of Jagai and Madhai, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so angry that he would have immediately killed them, but Nityananda Prabhu was so kind that he not only saved them from death, but elevated them to transcendental position. Thus, what was not possible for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was carried out by Nityananda Prabhu. Similarly, if one is true to Gaura Nitai's service in the disciplic succession, he can even excel Nityananda Prabhu's service. This is the process of disciplic succession. Nityananda Prabhu delivered Jagai and Madhai, but a servant of Nityananda Prabhu by his gaze can deliver many thousands of Jagais and Madhais. That is a special benediction of the disciplic succession. One who is situated in disciplic succession can be understood by the result of his activities. This is always true as far as the activities of the Lord and his devotees are concerned. Therefore, Lord Shiva says, Aradhanam sarvesham Vishnu aradhanam param tasmat parataram devi tadiyanam samarchanam. Of all types of worship, worship of Lord Vishnu is best, and better than the worship of Lord Vishnu is the worship of his devotees, the Vaishnava. By the grace of Vishnu, a Vaishnava can render better service than Vishnu, and that is the special prerogative of a Vaishnava. The Lord actually wants to see his servant work more gloriously than himself. For instance, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Shri Krishna provoked Arjuna to fight because all the warriors in the battlefield were to die by Krishna's plan. Krishna himself did not want to take credit. Rather, he wanted Arjuna to take credit. Therefore, he asked him to fight and win fame. Tasma tvam utishta yasva labhaswa jit जित्वा शत्रून् भुङ्क्ष्व राज्यं समृद्धं मयि वैते निहाताः पूर्वमेव निमित्तमात्रं भव सव्यसाचिन्. Therefore, get up, prepare to fight and win glory, conquer your enemies and enjoy a flourishing kingdom. They are already put to death by my arrangement, and you, O Savyasachi, Savyasachi, can be but an instrument in the fight. Thus, the Supreme Personality of Godhead gives credit to a devotee who performs any heavy task perfectly. Hanumanji or Vajrangaji, the servant of Lord Ramachandra, serves as another example. It was Hanumanji who jumped over the sea in one leap and reached the shore of Lanka from the shore of Bharatavarsha. When Lord Ramachandra chose to go there, he paved the way with stones, although by his will, the stones were able to float on the sea. If we simply follow Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions and follow in the footsteps of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, this Krishna consciousness movement can advance, and even more difficult tasks can be performed by the preachers remaining faithful to the service of the Lord. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunitamena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Stapitamena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamayam Ditati Swapadantika Vandeham Shri Guru Shetapatakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavangsha Shri Rupam Sagrachatam Sagana Raghunatham Vitamtam Sajivam Sadhutam Sabhatam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Laidha Shri Vishakan Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Singh Dinamindi Jagatpati Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Datta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavani Shri Vishavanusute Devi Pranamami Ripi Vanchakalpadrubhisha Kripa Sindhubhye Vichapatitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namah Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashthabhatali Shrimate Bhakti Vikas Swami Tinamane Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashthabhatali Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshitarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so Jnanananda Mayam Devam Nishmar Kriti Mataram Sarva Vidyanam Hare Givam Basme Guru Vishnu Bhagavan Tiner Smarana Hoy Vigna Vinachana Naya Shaharija Vanchita Puranam. So here we're reading from Chaitanya Charitamrita, in which Lord Chaitanya is instructing Nityananda Prabhu to go and preach to the Vaishnavas or the people of Gauda Desha, people in Bengal. So we see that here, even as I've mentioned a few times before, even Bhakti Vikas Maharaj mentioned that Lord Chaitanya was a little bit fried out with the Bengalis, and he's like, I can't do this. I can't preach to these people. I'm calling it quits. You have to Nityananda Prabhu, you go. So we see here that that instruction is being imparted upon Lord Nityananda Prabhu. And who is Lord Nityananda Prabhu? Well, Balarama Hoilo Nitai, that Nityananda Prabhu is none different from Balaram. And who's Balaram? He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And who's Krishna? So what's the difference? Balaram, is he an expansion? Okay, yes, he's the original spiritual master. Okay, yes, you can say he's also an expansion. Yes, that is there, but he's the same. He is Krishna. What's the difference?
He's white.
The color.
He's white.
Huh?
The color.
They're both Vishnu Tattva.
Yes, but what's the difference between?
He's a Vilas expansion.
No,
He's
you're
white.
right already, Abhimani. He's white.
Oh.
That's it. That's the only difference. Prabhupada says that. That's the only difference. That Balaram, what's the difference between Krishna and Balaram? That he's white. That's all. But Balaram takes upon the position, he specifically takes the position to assist Krishna. Krishna is the chief hero of Vrindavan. Krishna is he's the main character. I mean, of course, he's the Purusha. He's the Adi Purusha. But Balaram, none different to Krishna, plays a slight different role in assisting Krishna in the pastimes of Krishna. So how does he assist Krishna?
He expands to serve in different ways, and then to Shez, Lord Balaram, or Nityananda.
Oh yes, he's Lord Balaram. So what does Lord Balaram do?
He assists Lord Chaitanya in spreading the name.
Yeah, but specifically in Krishna's pastime. How does he assist Krishna? How does he assist in the pastimes? Yeah, that's there. He accompanies into the forest, but specifically, he takes the form. He takes different forms as paraphernalia, as the shoes of the Lord, as the dham itself. He takes different forms as paraphernalia to assist. It arranges the pastimes for the Lord. So all of these things, shoes, the dham, umbrella, all of these paraphernalias are Lord Balaram. So even here we say the mridanga is Lord Balaram actually. That is Balaram. Even this actually, this whole house, this is Lord Balaram. Why? Because he's assisting in Krishna's pastimes, in facilitating Krishna's pleasure, all of the paraphernalia, that is expansion of Lord Balaram. These vehicles are expansions of Lord Balaram because they are assisting directly in Lord Krishna's pastimes. So, Balaram, how to understand? Well, he's like I was saying, he's Sesha. He's the Ananta Sesha. He holds up the whole universe. So he wants to render service to the Lord in every way. So he expands. He expands. In order to expand his service to Krishna, he takes different forms. And especially even to the case of in which he, from the spiritual world even into the material world, in which he takes the form of, well, there's the expansion to Balaram. From there, there's a Chaturvya, which is Sankarshan, Aniruddha, Pradyumna, and Vasudev. So, and Vasudev, not Vasudev. Vasudev. No, Vasudev.
Vasudev.
Vasudev is Vasudev. So he expands to these four forms. From there, there's Karnadakshay Vishnu. From there, there is the Garbhodakshay Vishnu. Then from there to Shridakshay Vishnu, then to Paramatma. So all of these expansions are there. And all of these forms are coming from Balaram, who's Nityananda, who's Balaram. And so we see that the Lord, when he comes, yada yada dharmasya glani bhavati bharata abhitanam dharmasya tadat sambhavami yuge.
Bhavami yuge.
Sambhavami yuge yuge. That age after age he descends to establish dharma, and when he comes, he comes with Ram, and who's Ram's brother, Lakshman, and Krishna, and so in Kali Yuga we see Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. So Balaram always accompanies him, and obviously in Kali Yuga we're saying he has come as Nityananda Prabhu. He has come as Nityananda, and he's assisting in the Lord's pastimes. And in this verse specifically, we're seeing how the Lord is assisting in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes in the Sankirtan movement. And he's Avaduta. He does pretty wild stuff. If you read the Chaitanya Charitamrita, he's a pretty wild character. And he's known as Avaduta, means one who just more or less not very, seemingly not conscious at all of what he does almost. He's a sannyasi or a householder, and he just runs around naked. Maharaj mentions that by seeing the genitals of Nityananda Prabhu, one learns how to control one's own genitals.
Wow.
There's a lecture. Yeah.
That's ecstatic.
There's a pastime in which, I think it's Lord Chaitanya, he just opens the door, Bhakti Vikas Maharaj Singh, another devotee of Lord Chaitanya, opens the door, and there is Nityananda just rocked up naked to the house. And so he's a pretty wild character. He's Avaduta. He has no reason to follow the rules and regulations. Why? Because he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He can do whatever the heck he likes. People cannot imitate him. And so that requires a level of faith. He's Adi Guru. We see that we see sometimes it's also glorified. Even if I see Nityananda in the liquor shop, then I shall not think anything of it. That he's still the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's still Adi Guru. Sorry, Mahotsa Prabhu's text me. So it requires faith. It requires faith that when you hear about Nityananda Prabhu kicking, I believe, Shivananda Sena in the chest, if you're a materialist and you don't understand, it's like, what kind of God is this? What kind of most merciful Mahavadanyaya, we can say that about Lord Nityananda also, is the most merciful. How can he kick someone in the chest? But that materialist cannot understand. Why? Because that's mercy. To get the lotus feet, what are we reading? Nitai pada kamala koti chanda shushitala. To get the lotus feet, the shade of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, it's like millions of moons. It's cooling. Why is it cooling? Because sansara dava nalalid haloka tranaya karunya ghana ghanatum. that we are burning in this material existence, and what can we get? Where can we get shelter? In the Bande Guru Shri Charanara Vindam, in the Guru, who is Adi Guru Nityananda, in the lotus feet and under the shade of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. He's Adi Guru. Actually, all other gurus are expansions of Lord Nityananda. He's Adi Guru. So we see that we need to have faith that, as we were saying yesterday also, Shraddhavan Jana Hai Bhakti Adhikar, that one must have faith. We also have that song, Nityananda, Nadiya
Madhya
Godrume
Gudrum.
Nityananda Mahajan. I searched that up. Does anybody know the name of that song? Nadiya Godrume. Oh, I found it. Okay. Okay,
got
this
it
is an
here.
ecstatic song. Okay, Nadiya Godrume Nityananda Mahajan Pachiya Chinama Hata Jivera Karan Shraddhavan Jana Hai Prabhu Agya Bhai Magiye Bhiksha Bolo Krishna Bhajo Krishna Koro Krishna Shiksha. So अपराध शून्य होए लोहे कृष्ण नाम कृष्ण मत कृष्ण पिता कृष्ण धन प्राण कृष्ण संसार करी जरि अनाचार जीवे दोए कृष्ण नाम सर्व धर्म सार. So we see translation that in the land of Nadia, on the island of Godrum, the magnanimous Lord Nityananda has opened up the marketplace of the holy name, meant for the deliverance of all fallen souls. All people of faith, Shraddhavan Jana Hai, Shraddhavan Jana Hai. All people of faith, by the order of Lord Gauranga, oh brothers, I beg these three requests of you. Chant Krishna, worship Krishna, and teach others about Krishna. Aparadha Shunya Hoy Lohe Krishna. Being careful to remain free from offense, just take the holy name of Lord Krishna. Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Dhanabran. Krishna is your mother, Krishna is your father, and Krishna is the treasure of your life. Krishna samsara kore Chandan-Acharya. Give up all sinful activities. Carry on your worldly duties only in relation to Lord Krishna. Jive doya Krishna nam sarva dharmasar. The showing of compassion to other souls by loudly chanting the holy name of Krishna is the essence of all forms of religion. So that one must have Shraddha. Shraddhavan Jana Hai, Shraddhavan Jana Hai. Who has Shraddha? Come forward. Oh, people of faith, by the order of Lord Gauranga, I beg these three requests from you. Just have faith in this holy name. So he is, Lord Nityananda is going around, and we see the instructions that Lord Nityananda Prabhu is giving here in this song. What is he saying? Well, chant the holy name of Krishna. What is he doing? He is laying the groundwork. He's laying the groundwork. We see it in this purport that Srila Prabhupada comments that Lord Chaitanya's mission is to deliver the fallen souls of this age. In this age of Kali, practically 10% of the population is fallen. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu certainly delivered many fallen souls, but his disciples mainly came from the upper classes. If you look at the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, you see mainly him dealing with scholars, sometimes with kings. You see Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he deals with a lot of scholarly people, even in the beginning of when he was still, when he was still a Nayaka, a philosopher, when he was performing that pastime, he was Keshava Kashmiri came and he defeated him. And then we see many times like that. He deals with higher, either spiritually elevated personalities, or he deals with scholars. And then sometimes you'll see also he deals with Mayavadis and things like that. We see that he does do that. And Bhakti Vikas Maharaj was saying that even Nitya, nobody else would do that. Because the Mayavadis actually, of all the people, they're the most fallen. They're the most fallen. Lord Chaitanya directly would even deal with them and transform their heart into becoming Vaishnavas. We see that a few pastimes there. But specifically, he dealt with scholars in higher classes of society. But we see Lord Nityananda Prabhu, him dealing with mainly people, even Chandalas. He would go to the house of, dog eaters and beg them to chant the holy name of Krishna. So this was the position of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. He is the savior of the fallen. And Prabhupada says here that he was able to deliver even persons like Jagai and Madhya. You could say in one sense, as Bhakti Vikas Maharaj says, that even Lord Chaitanya gave up on the most fallen. The lower classes is like, I can't deal with these Bengalis. I'm out of here. But Nityananda Prabhu, he went out and he begged them. He's someone who laid, as Muktananda Prabhu also says, he was going around doing the groundwork. And we see in the chapter 5 of the Adi Leela, the glories of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. Lord Chaitanya is same Lord Krishna, and Lord Nityananda is Lord Balaram. Lord Nityananda Prabhu fulfills all of Lord Chaitanya's desires. The ocean of Lord Nityananda's glories is infinite and unfathomable. Only by his mercy can I touch even a drop of it. And please listen to another glory of his mercy. He made a fallen living entity climb to the highest limit. To disclose this, it is not proper, for it should be kept as confidential as the Vedas. Yet I shall speak of it to make his mercy known to all. O Lord Nityananda, I write of your mercy out of great exultation. Please forgive me for my offenses. Lord Nityananda Prabhu had a servant named Sri Minaketan and Ramadas, who was a reservoir of love. At my house, there was a Sankirtan day and night, and therefore he visited there, having been invited. Absorbed in emotional ecstasy, he sat in my courtyard, and all the Vaishnavas bowed down at his lotus feet. In a joyful mood of love of God, he sometimes climbed upon the shoulders of someone offering a basin, and sometimes he struck others with his flute, or mildly slapped them. When someone saw the eyes of Minaketana, Ramadasa, tears would automatically flow from his own eyes, for a constant shower of tears flowed from the eyes of Minaketana Ramadas. Sometimes there was eruption of ecstasy like kadamba flowers on some parts of his body, and sometimes on the limb he would be stunned while on others would be trembling. Whenever he shouted loud the name Nityananda, the people around him were filled with great wonder and astonishment. One respectable Brahmin named Sri Gunarnava Mishra was serving the deity. When Minaketana was seated in the yard, this Brahmana did not offer respect. Seeing this, Sri Ramdas became angry and spoke. Here I find the second Ramaharshana Sutta, who did not stand to show honor when he saw Lord Balaram. After saying this, he danced and sang to his heart's content, but the Brahmana did not become angry, for he was then serving Lord Krishna. At the end of the festival, Minaketana Ramadas went away, offering his blessings to everyone. At that time, he had some controversy with my brother. My brother had firm faith in Lord Chaitanya, but only a dim glimmer of faith in Lord Nityananda. Knowing this, Sri Ramadas felt unhappy in his mind. I then rebuked my brother. These two brothers, I told him, are like one body. They are identical manifestations. If you do not believe in Lord Nityananda, you will fall down. If you have faith in one but disrespect the other, your logic is like the logic of half a hen. It would be better to be an atheist by slighting both brothers than a hypocrite by believing in one and slighting the other. Thus Ramadas broke his flute in anger and went away, and at that time my brother fell down. I have thus described the power of the servants of Lord Nityananda. Now I shall describe another characteristic of his mercy. So just going back to the faith aspect, that one cannot just believe in Lord Chaitanya and neglect Nityananda. They are non-different. That one must realize and understand that actually Nityananda Prabhu, we must give equal importance to Nityananda Prabhu, not that we neglect Nityananda Prabhu, because by doing so, as Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami teaches us, that one will fall down from his position if he does so. So one should be very careful to understand that there's many people, such as the one that's being described, who will neglect Lord Nityananda. They say only Lord Chaitanya will worship, but we should worship them together. Dui Bhai, Nache Gai, that is described in one song, that they're singing and dancing together, these two lords, they're always together. Although seemingly separate, actually they're always together. We see in the this Panihati festival, actually, that Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda take part in the whole festival there. But I believe that who was not present? Nityananda Prabhu just came. He wasn't present, and Nityananda Prabhu appeared.
No, Lord Chaitanya wasn't there. Lord Chaitanya wasn't there. Lord Chaitanya
Lord
wasn't there.
Chaitanya,
He appeared.
Lord Chaitanya wasn't there, and he just appeared, and he enjoyed the Panihati festival. So we see that the Dvi Bhai, they're two brothers that are always together. We should not neglect one or the other. We should have deep faith in Nityananda that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and should not neglect. By doing so, we are atheistic. So it's an important point. But coming back to here also, that he is doing the groundwork. He's going around to the Chandalas. Who's ready to do that? What smarta Brahmana would be ready to do that? Even when Lord Chaitanya, actually, I was just reading yesterday and I was reminded that actually it was the smarta Brahmanas that went and complained to the Qazi about Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan. And the Qazi came and broke the Mirdanga because the smartas were unhappy that the holy name was being propagated. They were unhappy just that the Chandalas and mass people were being able to hear the holy name. They were disturbed. What to speak of somebody actually going to a Chandala's house, knocking on the door, and bowing down at their feet and saying, chant Hare Krishna. That is unheard of, impossible to think about. They cannot even imagine that. So, but we see that Lord Nityananda was doing so. Why? For what purpose? For the service of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That he was ready to do anything for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That is his prime duty and nothing else, and no other conception of life. There's no higher and lower when one serves the Lord. There's nobody, whoever is ready to take the holy name, whoever is ready to take the books, there is no higher or lower for the service of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They will do any service that is given by the Lord himself or by his devotees. So we see that not only Nityananda Prabhu did so, he went to all the houses of the Chandalas, and we see that his followers, even up to this age, specifically we're seeing that, all of his followers, and specifically most prominently, Srila Prabhupada, coming to the West and approaching the lowest of the lows, the most fallen. And Prabhupada actually, in his purport, he writes about himself. He writes that here, that similarly, if one is true to Gaur Nitai's service in the disciplic succession, he can even excel Nityananda Prabhu's service. This is a process of disciplic succession. Nityananda Prabhu delivered Jagai and Madhai, but a servant of Nityananda Prabhu, by his grace, can deliver many thousands of Jagais and Madhais. That is the special benediction of the disciplic succession. One who is situated in the disciplic succession can be understood by the result of his activities. This is always true as far as activities of the Lord and his devotees are concerned. So we can see that Lord Nityananda Prabhu delivered so many fallen, specifically we hear about Jagai and Madhai as most prominent, and there would have been others also. But Srila Prabhupada, in the sense, he did so much more. I mean, he spread it all over the world, every town and village, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had asked. You could say, well, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted it in every town and village, but Nityananda Prabhu specifically didn't do that. But Srila Prabhupada, being empowered by Nityananda Prabhu, being given that empowerment by Sri Nityananda Prabhu, spread it all over the world. He lit that fire of Krishna consciousness, and it was ablaze all over the world, and it is going on also. And the servants of Srila Prabhupada also take on the same mission, and we go from house to house, town to town, city to city, delivering books to the most fallen. Somebody will have a chicken breast in one hand and take the book with the other, or they'll have a chicken breast in one hand and lick it, and then and then hold the book. And those who are following Vedic culture, following the standard of cleanliness, you look at this person and what do you see? Do we see, oh, this person is just like the lowest of the lows, I can't even touch him? No, we don't see that. It's like, we just see, I want this person to take a book and that's all I care about. I don't care. I've held people's like beer cans because like, can you hold this? I got to get my money. It's like, yes, 100%, no problem. It's like, no problem. Let me hold. Yeah, just as long as you give me that money. So it's been like that. It's like, yeah, let me hold it. Okay, I'll hold that for a second. Or even when you're on Harinam, somebody will hand you're chanting Hare Krishna and you're making them chant. Okay, chant, and then they'll like, here, can you hold my beer? It's like, yeah, I got it. And then they'll get the car towels and stop playing, and then you throw the beer, and then you throw the beer can away, and the alcohol is gone. And then they forget about the alcohol also. Or often you'll see on Harinam, you go out, they get intoxicated by the holy name and they start throwing their alcohol away. So the servants of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, And the servants of Srila Prabhupada, they take upon this being empowered by Lord Nityananda. They don't consider who is lower and who is higher. We see that in Chaitanya Charitamrita. The two brothers, they didn't consider who was higher and lower. Lord Nityananda didn't consider who was higher or lower. He just saw that this is my order from my master, and I must go execute it independent of whatever circumstances may come about. And one doesn't see such a person in that position. He sees that person as the servant of Krishna. He sees that this person requires Krishna consciousness. And he sees, oh, this is my service. So whatever condition, it doesn't matter for me. This is my service. The Lord is there and he's granted me this service. And it's actually pretty ecstatic when the Samartha Brahmanas and those who are of the so-called higher castes and too good for the lower people, they can't understand the ecstasy of Lord Nityananda and the ecstasies of the servants of Lord Nityananda. Actually, they can't understand it. They are too stuck in their rigid rules and regulations to experience the bliss of Nityananda. Or the Nityananda just means eternally blissful, or experience Nityananda. They can't experience Nityananda. What is that? What is that song? That one who he has lost his life, one who cannot appreciate Nityananda. Anyways, there is that song that is there. Anyways, I can't remember which song exactly. But one who doesn't worship Nityananda, he wastes his life. So, is it Ayanita Bine Bhai? What is it? Damn, I forget.
Ahankara Mata Hoya Nitayera Pashariya.
Well, sang maybe
I know that. I know what you're talking about. I don't know the other song though. I heard it. I know you're talking about.
well, we just sang it, bro. We just sang it. If Nitai Pada Kamal.
Oh.
Being
There's
maddened
another
by
song.
after false prestige and identification with the body, one is thinking, who is Nityananda? What can he do for me? I don't care. The result is that he's accepting something false to be true. If you actually want to approach the association of Radha Krishna, you must first achieve the mercy of Lord Nityananda. When he's merciful towards you, then you'll be able to approach Radha Krishna. But just before that, anyone who has not established his relationship with Nityananda Prabhu is understood to have spoiled his human birth. Such a human being is actually an uncontrolled animal because he never uttered the only name of Nityananda. He has become merged into so-called material happiness. What is his useless education and family tradition do to help him? So what is the use of being a Smarta Brahmana? What is the use of the thread on his shoulders? What is the use of all of the study of the Vedas and all the austerities one takes, all of the fast one performs, all of these things, all of the yajnas one performs, if one cannot appreciate Nityananda, or one cannot establish his relationship with Nityananda Prabhu, then it is simply all useless. Shrama evi kevalam, has no use at all. So one should take shelter of Nityananda. And how does one take shelter of Nityananda? By directly serving Lord Nityananda. How do we do that? It's quite easy, actually. It's not that hard. It doesn't require us to be on a very high platform. Actually, it requires us to be very humble, to be able to go out every day on book distribution and distribute those books to so many people, and to be able to go and make them chant the holy name, transform them into devotees, ask them to worship Lord Gauranga. That is how one serves Lord Nityananda Prabhu. And by that service, one gets the mercy of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. He gets this mercy, and one becomes empowered by Nityananda Prabhu. And how does one become empowered? By having deep faith in Nityananda. Just like Srila Prabhupada, he was able to spread it to thousands of people. Why? Because he had the grace of Nityananda, because he had deep faith, deep service towards Nityananda Prabhu. So we're seeing that. And Prabhupada says here, by the grace of Vishnu, a Vaishnava can render better service than Vishnu. That is the special prerogative of a Vaishnava. The Lord actually wants to see his servants work more gloriously than himself. For instance, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Sri Krishna provoked Arjuna to fight because all the warriors on the battlefield were to die by Krishna's plan. So Prabhupada says something very ecstatic here, that thus the Supreme Personality of Godhead gives credit to a devotee who performs any heavy task perfectly. Hanumanji of Vajrangaji, the servant of Lord Ramachandra, serves as another example. It was Hanumanji who jumped over the sea in one leap and reached the shore of Lanka from the shore of Bharatavarsha. When Lord Ramachandra chose to go there, he paved the way with stones. Although his will, the stones were able to float on the sea. If we simply follow Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions and follow in the footsteps of Lord Nityananda, of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, this Krishna consciousness movement can advance. An even more difficult task can be performed by the preachers, remaining faithful to the service of the Lord. Those who remain faithful to the service of the Lord. And in that lecture that I sent through, Mukundadatta Prabhu says, next time you want to deviate, think about it, because Krishna, what does he say? I destroy those demons. I kill those demons, I destroy them. So next time you want to deviate, just think about it. Think about what kind of position you're heading into. But Lord Prabhupada says here that one who remains faithful to the service of the Lord, he can conquer the most difficult task, even more difficult tasks than what has already undergone in this Krishna consciousness movement. Srila Prabhupada is the most difficult task of spreading it all over the world. Even the Gaudiya tradition thought, well, the Vaishnavas thought it must be just, it must not, maybe it's not going to happen. Maybe it's not going to come true. It's just it's just a thing that it's it's just said in our books, but it's not something we're going to do. And the difficult works Srila Prabhupada established, and the followers of Srila Prabhupada, having not faith in the words and instructions of the pure representative of Nityananda Prabhu, have not been able to accomplish the difficult task that lies ahead of establishing Vaishnav culture and philosophy as the most prominent and the most topmost philosophy in the modern age. I mean, in all ages, in the Western world and in the Eastern world. Well, it's going on in India much better. But specifically in the Western world, where Srila Prabhupada Paschatya Deshatarine to destroy the impersonalism, voidism that is in the West, it has not gone on. Rather, it's taken the opposite. It's taken the form, the Krishna consciousness movement has more or less taken the form of this voidism and impersonalism now. We see that everything is becoming just hodgepodge, no real discrimination, no real understanding of philosophy. It's becoming like that. We'll see. We're already hearing of or seeing our own, sometimes leaders and higher people in the movement associate with Mayavadis, perform kirtan with Mayavadis, speak Mayavad philosophy, and then oftentimes also agree with Mayavadis openly. So it has become a very, and just a bad condition. Why? Because not remaining faithful in the service of the Lord. That is a simple reason. Not remaining faithful in the service of Srila Prabhupada, not remaining faithful in the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, that this Daiva Varnashram Dharma will become, it is the next 50% of Srila Prabhupada's mission, and it's completely different. It is also by which we will conquer the world. Millions of people will come to the farms. So that is a difficult job, and actually it's the duty of the Acharya, and it's the duty of the teacher or one's guru to leave the disciple with more difficult work also. Because so the disciples don't become lax. So the disciples can glorify their own spiritual master also by performing such difficult tasks. But one who lacks faith, he cannot fulfill such a mission. If one simply has faith, just like we're seeing that faith can be instilled by good association, just like we see that Hungary practically no Srimad Bhagavatam distribution was going on, even though Shivaram Maharaj had deep faith that yes, if you do it, it will go on. If you do it, it will happen. But devotees in that didn't, it's a difficult thing to understand. How will it happen? How is it possible? But due to good association of personalities like Mahotsa Prabhu and other devotees, they developed that great faith, and by which they were able to go back to Hungary and distribute, and we're seeing in the marathon hundreds of Bhagavatam sets every day, 4, 5, 6 Bhagavatam sets in the language in Hungary on the streets. It's quite inconceivable, and we're seeing so many Bhagavatams go out. You guys are doing so many going out there. So it's a matter of faith. We should take that. It's a matter of faith. Well, not right now, maybe, but you guys looks like you guys are really having a good time out there. Wow, thank you so much.
So many loose books going out there.
Yeah, so many. Hey, look, every book counts. But
so much
it's
service.
an important point just to remember that if we don't have proper faith that this is possible, if we don't have proper faith that this Vedic culture is that we can establish it, that people will come and they'll take up to the pure devotional service, they'll take up to pure devotional service. If we don't have that faith, if we think, no, I don't think it's possible, we need to just like do all of this other stuff, this is impractical, or even us ourselves practicing pure devotional service is impractical. That's the more or less the consensus within our society, that pure devotional service is the most impractical thing you can do with your life, because dedicating your life fully to Krishna consciousness, that's impractical, because how will you live if you do so? It's like it's often, it sounds like Chandan-Acharya, doesn't it? When he's talking to Bali, you shouldn't surrender. If you surrender, how will you maintain yourself? How will you maintain your life? This is practically what you hear in the Krishna conscious movement when you want to become a brahmachari, even within the movement, not just from your parents and whatnot. Because there's no faith that actually, that by surrendering one's life to the proper authority, to proper mission, that we can spread this Krishna consciousness movement, and we can please Nityananda, we can be directly empowered by Lord Nityananda, and it's inconceivable. One can't, it's hard to understand, as we were reading yesterday, for those who don't have faith, for those who don't have experience in devotional service, it's very, very, very difficult to understand. So we should remember this. We should remember that. We should remember Lord Nityananda Prabhu. He had deep faith in the instruction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He went out and did it. And if we do the same, we can, whatever difficulty that may come in our life, in our service, that will be conquerable if we simply remember Sri Nityananda Prabhu, if we simply remember our Guru, and just go on with it. And even if you don't materially become successful in whatever mission you're trying to fulfill, there's no loss at all. Why? Because one followed the instructions of one Guru. One is all successful in just doing that. Just the fact that one is serving, that is all success. Our success is not specifically by result. Although Srila Prabhupada here just did say that there will be, the result will be, will be way more, can be way more. But it's not specific, also, it's not also limited to a result. It is specific to our mood and attitude of service towards the spiritual master, towards the Guru. So Lord Nityananda Prabhu is the topmost, the servitor of Godhead. You could say also that he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he's also servitor of Godhead. He expands himself in so many ways to serve Krishna. And so if we can take shelter of him, we can also expand ourselves, our intelligence, our abilities in so many ways to serve Krishna. Actually, Nityananda Prabhu gives us that ability. Sometimes we're doing service, we don't know how we're going to do it, but we're trying sincerely, and the Lord gives us that intelligence. And people are like, how are you able to do that? I don't know. I've never done it before. I just did it. I don't know. It just came. I don't know. There's certain things in our lives. Every devotee has an experience. I never thought I would be able to do certain things in my life, and didn't have any qualification, didn't go to any university. And often this is said by those when we distribute books. Where did you learn all your things? Which marketing school did you go to? Which sales tactics are you using? All of these things. We don't know. We're just going out there and we're just doing what we know. We're just doing what we're by the help of the other devotees. We didn't study in all this. And often you'll see that as time progresses, you have to learn in the beginning from another devotee, and you get that. But then you also develop that. Just the Lord just gives you intelligence to just work out there. And when you're talking to people and to others, it seems like you've studied everything and you've really gone through like the nitty-gritty of like learning all of these techniques of how to talk to people and all of this. But in reality, it's not at all. It's just okay, how did you do? I don't know. I go out there, and how do you keep saying these different lines, and how did you have them all written down? No, just go out there and it just happens, and the Lord gives somehow all of this comes. And I don't know how, I can't explain it to you. But it requires faith, and people cannot understand that. They think by some material means they can achieve things, but actually it requires the mercy of the Lord. So we can pray to Lord Nityananda Prabhu for his mercy today to distribute many, 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 many more books, make many, many, many more devotees, to establish many more centers, not just this is one farm, it's a big significant thing. Hopefully, just like we used to distribute a few bhakta stacks, and they used to be a big thing. We used to distribute 1 or 2 saptas in a day, and they used to be a big thing. We used to do, one Bhagavatam every week used to be a huge thing. Similarly, we're getting this farm, and it's a huge thing. Hopefully, we can have many, many farms in the future and look back, go, okay, we're really excited about that one farm. But now look, it's just one farm. We have so many, we have tens and hundreds of farms around the country, and we used to get excited about one devotee joining back in the day. But now we have hundreds of devotees joining per year, thousands of devotees joining per year. So we can, but it can actually get there, but it requires faith. It requires people to actually put in the work, and that faith is not easy. That faith is not something simple. That faith doesn't mean it's like, okay, but look at Srila Prabhupada's faith. What is that? Unwavering faith one has to have amongst the difficulties, amongst the troubles and the tests. Lord Nityananda Prabhu also didn't have a good time. He was hit in the head by Jaga and Madhya. And so many times he goes to houses, people just, please chant the name. No, what, you look like a crazy man. He looks like a crazy man. He's rolling around, begging, and people wouldn't chant. Had so much difficulty. So what to speak of us? The Supreme Personality of Godhead exhibited the pastimes of undergoing difficulty, but never lost faith. The Lord Chaitanya asked me to go and preach the name of Lord Krishna. So let me continue. Srila Prabhupada is the same. So if we think, oh, I just have to have faith and that's enough. Yes, but with that faith, what is real faith is that one, under any circumstance, any situation, he doesn't waver. That is faith. That faith is, Prabhupada defines that as faith, that it's complete, what is it? Complete trust in something sublime. What is that? How does that? Complete conviction in something sublime. Shraddha Shabde Vishwasha Kori Shuddhita Nishchaya. That faith, one has to have firm faith in the holy name of Krishna, in Krishna himself. So that faith is exhibited when one actually is tested. Sometimes we seem like, oh yeah, I have faith in this and that, but then when that test comes, then we waver, and then we have difficulties and we have doubts. So one should be ready to have firm faith, that one has firm determination that just simply by serving the Lord, simply by going out and distributing this book, it's making a huge impact in the world, that it is changing this existence of people. This whole material world is transforming this just by this small book, by that one book that you're distributing. We should feel that, we should see that. And see that, independent, you guys are not able to distribute so many in the winter right now, but you're going on with the service. It's not that because I can't distribute so much, it won't have much effect. So whatever, what the heck, let me just like sit around in the winter and just not do anything. No, one has faith. No, just by this one book, it is changing the world. It is changing people. It is spiritualizing this atmosphere. The glories of Krishna are going out. So one should have that. Lord Nityananda would be ecstatic just hearing somebody chant Hari, chanting Gaura. He would be ecstatic. So we should see that, even though sometimes we're not able to distribute so many books, we should still remain enthusiastic and faithful that this is a service, that I must go on whatever circumstance and situation comes about in my life. So by doing so, we get the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu, and by getting the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu, how do we use that mercy? We use it to simply expand Krishna's service more and more and more. That is the only reason we're asking for mercy, not for any other reason, not for ourselves, in order to be able to simply just expand the glories of Krishna. Why do we want to become purified? So we can preach properly. Why do we want to be able to distribute books better? So the preaching goes out in this brihat mridanga, in a louder, with more books, with more chanting of the holy name, with more it invites more devotees. So that is the only reason we're asking for mercy. And if we're sincere, we'll get that mercy by which we can expand the Lord's glories. And Nityananda Prabhu will be very pleased, and we can get unlimited mercy from the Lord and the Acharyas. So today, being the appearance of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, we can sing more bhajans today. If you guys get some time later in the day or in the morning or whenever.
We're going to ISKCON temples.
Huh?
We're going to go to ISKCON Atlanta.
Yeah, that's Paramakaruna Bahudvijana Nitai Gaura Chandra. That is the place of Lord Nityananda and Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So you can take that. Yeah, that's very nice. You can take darshan, and they kept us under their protection for so long. And now we are moved out here to Tennessee. There is a few temples. I don't know exactly the deities here.
So, Gornitai and Murari.
There's a Gornitai and Murari Sevaka. And Sanctuary, Murari Sanctuary, Sevaka.
I think so.
Sevaka. So
It's really small.
yeah, so there's some deities here. Now, we were under the shelter of Gaur Nitai over there for very long. New Pani Hadi Dham. So that's an ecstatic place. I'm sure the nice festivals, and you can go and take darshan of them. Better you go earlier in the day than later in the day. You'll see so much weird stuff in there and it disturbs your mind.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we were gonna go after class.
yeah, it's a good idea. Take darshan. And if you wait, I don't know, if you go around like offering time, after you can go back to the pujari and ask for the Mahaprasad and Rasgullas, and he'll give it to you. So so if you want to go a little later, but I know, are you taking prasadam at Mataji's house today?
I don't think so.
No, I think we were just gonna make some sabji or something.
Is there any questions or comments before I end the live stream, and then we can have a little more casual conversation? Anything? Yes, Charudeshna Prabhu.
Well, anyways, then there's what they're doing, like, where we don't, when we distribute books, especially one thinking that there's some material qualification that's present there that's like facilitating that distribute externally. Anyways, that was like the first thing I saw, because I had a sales job and I had that experience, so I thought like, oh no, it's just like a doozy.
Mhm.
And it wasn't.
Yeah.
And honestly, I couldn't last in the service center because it wasn't an appreciation. So that was like one of the biggest things I took away. So even if I think you have like this training in its back, almost like if you don't have the nursing forward and you don't recognize that he's someone to be facilitating, then you're not going to have any sort of success in the service back. So it was that, and then just also another thing I like that when I started getting the lecture. I'm on the same line, same principle as talking about like Srila Prabhupada's speaking ability. Like if you look at like somebody who like practices and trains others speech, for example, and you look at Srila Prabhupada, it's like they'll probably point out so many like
Faults, yeah.
so many faults. But he made pure like he made devotees of the Lord, So it's like even despite not having, so much training or whatever, and speaking and whatnot, you look at like how inspired people became from like hearing his lectures and from reading his books. So that's completely, regardless of mixture and material qualification that was present there. So that was one share.
Yeah. Anything else? Any questions? Anything else?
I guess it's more of a comment. I noticed, like you mentioned how like in today's time it's like, oh, you can't practice pure devotional service. I heard that I've heard that before from like devotees, and they're like, oh, you can't be a devotee all the time. Like they try to give me the example like a basketball player. Like, do you wake up and you're wearing your basketball uniform? Like, is the whole day you're like,
oh,
yeah, like.
Did you guys hear that? You guys heard that?
That's powerful.
What about devotee in a basketball uniform?
Yeah, that's what I thought. But then, yeah,
He's like, yeah, you can't all the time, but you gotta balance spiritual and material. Like, why don't we have devotee basketball players or something like that?
Yeah. Anyways,
You have to be a karmi sometimes. You can't be a devotee all the time.
yeah, you can't. That's pretty wild. That you can't. It's like, when do you ever see a basketball player waking up with his like full basketball kit on, and then that's all he does? Well, that you.
I don't watch basketball, buddy.
Yeah. Did you read Prabhupada's books? It's like no. Anyways, it's what can you say to these persons? It's better. Huh?
So many reports where it says devotional service is 24 hours a day, 24/7. Like,
Yeah, well, more than it's just that's our eternal identity. It's like, what do you wake up and do you always wake up as a human being? It's like,
Oh,
do
because you wake up after the sun's up, you animal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right. So it's just, you know, such nonsense things people say. So that's why it's important to study and understand. And then even within our own association, it's important to have that intelligence to recognize what is pure devotion and what is not pure devotion, because like I've been saying, it requires that mercy. Maharaj in that Muda mission writes that mercy is granted by one's sincerity. One has to be sincere, and Srila Prabhupada says that many times to his disciples, one should be sincere and serious. So if one is sincerely reading Prabhupada's books, like I encourage everyone to do this, like I was saying yesterday in the class, read Prabhupada's books, not next to someone out loud. Try to find a space where you can read in a tone and volume that doesn't disturb anyone else, but you can hear, and pause after every sentence and understand and think about what's going on. Don't just mindlessly read. I do that. I was doing that. Or I do that, and see how much you can get out of it. In that way, sincerely read Prabhupada's books, and you get so much. And then assess what's right, what's wrong, and push yourself to try to come up to the standard of what Srila Prabhupada's talking about in his books. That's the best way, and get advice, and like that. So then you'll always be free. And then when people come and say all sorts of nonsense things, you don't even have to reply, because what's the point? And if somebody says that, and I'm like, all right, all right, just stay away from me. There's like people that you can help, but then there's people so like far gone that you can't do anything about. They know devotional service, they know. I've heard it all, I've seen it all, so you can't help, you can't tell me anything. All right, I don't want to say anything. Let me just go on. Nobody can help him. So, okay, anything else?